You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Chief Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Miriam Gonzalez and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The Good Wife After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The Good Wife After Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Good Wife After Show with AfterBuzz. Thank you for joining us. I am your host, Courtney Henderson, joined with my co-hosts.
Yes, Cortez West.
Miriam Gonzalez.
Thanks. They were not able to join me in the studio last week, so I'm very excited to have them with me tonight. We are going to break down and talk about tonight's episode, We the Juries. And I guess let's just jump right into it.
Yes.
They kind of did that in the show tonight. We were discussing how long the introduction was. And, you know, before they roll The Good Wife and kind of the credits of the starting of the show, those are getting longer and longer. And I love it because, you know, no commercials.
Yeah, you feel like there is no commercials. If you're sitting watching at your DVR, there's no stop and go like you would with a lot of shows. In fact, I don't know any shows that aren't on HBO or a cable network without commercials that does that. So I like that part of it.
Yeah, agreed.
It was really good because watching it, you when the commercial comes on, you're like, oh, commercial?
Oh, yeah, this isn't a movie.
Oh, it's not a movie.
Why? Why did you interrupt? It was getting so good.
But that's the hook, right? It's on purpose. They're trying to get us.
Yeah.
Although, let's be honest, it's The Good Wife. Like, it doesn't matter when they put that first commercial. We're going to be there for the entire show.
Oh, yeah.
From start to finish.
I think this title should have been The Mad Wife, though.
The Mad Yes. Yes. Well, let's talk about they go to court. And I've never heard of this double jury thing, because they were representing them as a couple and now they're split law firms. So they're on the same side, but it didn't really feel like they were on the same side. Right?
That is true. Yeah.
They were both on, like, against the prosecutors.
True.
But not together.
But I can see why they needed the double jury, because if they were together, but one side was trying to say that it was the female's fault, and the other side was trying to say that it was the male fault.
Right.
So it's like, okay, if they're both on the same side saying, well, no, we didn't do it at all, it's kind of like, okay, well, who do you fight for? So I can see why they needed the double jury.
I agree.
Yeah.
It was a circus.
Yes, it was.
It was.
That's exactly what the judge says. He said, this is a circus.
It's his fault.
Yes.
He allowed that to happen, and throughout this entire episode, we see just how big the circus becomes, and the fact that, you know, you have these. It was almost like three separate trials going on in one courtroom.
It was.
It pretty much was, yeah.
And fights within, from the jury fighting amongst each other, from who's got the more comfortable seat to the more comfortable deliberation room to the fight. And now clearly you can see that it's a bigger fight, naturally, as we've seen throughout the entire season. This is all about, you know, Will and Alicia and this whole thing about them separating.
Yes, and the writers brought Diane and Cary into the fight tonight.
I know, right? The writers
they
are
did.
awesome.
I love these writers.
The writers are awesome.
You
Yes.
can't, I mean, they are. They just,
Yes.
I mean, and we'll get to more stuff that I'm just
Right.
like, oh, the juice. And that's the other thing that I think is so funny, because in the courtroom, we see, you know, Will step away for a little bit, so it's Diane. And at one point, the women, now I don't remember who said it. I think it was Diane to Alicia, said, you know, we'll be better off working together. They get to some point, something happens, and they get to a point where it's better to be on the same team. And she's like, tell it to Will. Like, I'm not the one here trying to, like, you know, throw the first punch. I'm just trying to do my job and get my client what he needs. And they end up settling.
And I think Cary made a really good point when he asked Alicia to be first chair in the situation. So that way, Will wouldn't get so emotional towards Alicia. And I think he said that in a roundabout way so she wouldn't get so emotional, because we saw in the last episode how heated they become. And it's totally personal. It's totally personal.
It's personal.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about it in that way. But I think maybe there's some sort of selfishness as well, because, I mean, his name's, plaqued on the wall with her as far as being this new law firm. So he wants to protect his clients and the best interest of their new firm,
Right.
in addition to being a good friend and, wanting Alicia to succeed and their clients to
Oh, it's
succeed.
definitely your version of it.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, when they first started the law firm, he wanted his name first.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't?
But she's got the pull, so it's
yeah.
But
quite...
she was already partner.
Yeah.
So,
Well, no, she's the governor's wife.
that too.
Yeah.
She's got
Had
the more
to.
pull.
Yes, the governor's wife.
And so,
And ladies first. Come on. that would be my argument.
Gardner.
I wonder if they did that to those writers. I'll tell you.
things that make you think.
Have either of you? Have you either of you been a jury before or
I
been
have
called
not.
in for jury duty?
Knock on wood.
Yeah, seriously,
Not
all
a
of us.
part of the jury. Been called in for jury duty, but not on the jury.
But I honestly wouldn't mind.
You don't think so?
No, I wouldn't mind. Would you? Are you?
Spoiler alert! It's not like you see it on TV.
no.
So maybe you would. I don't know. I've never gotten called in for it. This is just from friends' experiences and hearing all the
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
about getting paid like $18 a day
$18,
to
yes.
sit or whatever. I don't even. That might be too
It's-
much.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you don't get paid a lot of money,
do not.
and it's a long day, and it's just uncomfortable.
And your work at work just
Yes.
keeps piling
You're-
up. At least at my job.
Yes.
You're not getting paid your real job, and you're getting paid peanuts.
Yes.
I mean, although you are doing your duty to your community.
That's true.
Yes.
But I have a
Somebody's
question.
gotta do it.
Let me ask you all this: how do you feel about the juries fighting? Did that make sense with the episode?
It gave the title to me. I was like, oh, this is why it's called We the
With the
Juries.
Okay. Okay.
Because it was them fighting. But one of you said that there were like three different trials going on, and I feel
Right,
like
yeah.
the Juries was the third one, and the
Yeah.
judge was getting flustered, and it's. I'm gonna kind of nerd out after this. I won't lie, because I'm gonna go online and look and find out what's the benefit of doing a double jury like that versus letting them, because it basically was two trials at once. What's the benefit of doing it that way, where you have the prosecutors with both defendants and both juries versus letting the prosecutors go to court against one of the defendants and then in a completely different trial doing the other defendant. You know what I mean? Why would they put it all in one room?
Well, we saw that the prosecution was very happy with the judge going with that, because they knew that it would work in their favor.
Absolutely, because we see all of them go crawl up to the bench every time they need one of the juries to leave, or they need him to come back in,
Yes,
and
yes.
you've got both. You've got Will and Alicia both doing one thing, and then when Alicia does it, Will's complaining, and then Will goes and does it right back to her, and then she's complaining, and at some point the judge is like, we're not doing it.
Stop.
They're all
No.
staying in the room.
Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. I object. Wait, you can't object. We're on the same side.
Yes.
but not really, because both Lockhart-Gardner and Alicia Floragagos have to get their client what is in the best interest of their
Yeah.
client, and they don't have the same client. One thing I thought was interesting Will lied.
Yes.
They go, he absolutely lied. From everything I saw, he saw the guys in the elevator talking and absolutely threw Alicia under the bus when they go in with the judge.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he the one that called it out?
Yes,
Might
he
have
did.
been.
He
He
was the
pointed it
one
out
that-
to her.
yes.
He did.
You're right.
No,
Will.
actually, no.
No?
Am I?
Alicia was stuck. She looked. She was just like, and then she was stuck, and then Will was looking at her as usual, and then walks behind her and was like, "Oh,
So he didn't.
yeah."
point-
Alicia
okay.
I
saw
have to
it.
watch.
I know. Now we're gonna go back and watch
Alicia
it again.
saw it, and then he was like, "Oh," and then he walked off.
Yeah, he did. He got out of there really fast.
He walked off.
I mean, it could work in their favor, so that's why they didn't say anything, both of them.
Of course.
But the fact that he lied, first of all, he made Alicia look, didn't give her, I mean, she looks
She was hurt.
bad.
He kind of made her look not like a liar, but
Like she doesn't
not competent.
It ruins her credit in front of the judge, who's already questioning her. And he had already said before they went into chambers that she's on thin ice.
Yeah.
And so with her being on thin ice, this just breaks the ice. It's like, now you're wasting my time.
Yes.
And now you're accusing another attorney of seeing something. Like, Will has it in for her so bad at this point.
I hope he gets his.
You know, I used to like him.
I did
We all
too.
did. There was a part of me that actually wanted that to end up working out.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, even though it's the good wife, and that would make her the bad wife.
Yes.
You know, the thing with that whole, like with Will, honestly, any chance if he's ever, and he's still in love with her. This is why he's doing it. He's still in love with her. Any chance that he had thought in his mind, if they ever rectify anything of getting back together with her,
It's squashed.
he is ruining
It's
it.
gone.
One episode
At a time.
like every 10 minutes in each episode at a time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and do you think, I mean, I don't know if people do this. I would imagine some do, but they kind of self-destruct in that way. Do you think it's almost intentional? Like, I have to make her so mad and ruin this so much that she'll like come back at me so that it just ends it for me. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to get her to do something that will just break his heart so badly that he doesn't love her anymore.
Love anymore.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, self-inflicting.
That was deep, right?
I know, sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
I know, that was good.
You just Oprah'd us.
Thanks, guys. I'm here all week. No. But the other thing I wanted to point out, they talk about, because there's the two juries, and they ask one of the juries to like pretend like they didn't hear something. Like, it's stricken from the record.
Yes.
You can't include any of that testimony and any of that line of questioning in your decision. How do you do that?
Well,
How do
no.
you unhear something?
Well, here's the thing, though. When they do that on purpose, I remember in past episodes when Alicia would do that, or anyone would do that, they would look at their person who they're competing against or whatever, and they go, and because Alicia looked at him like,
Because I think deep down inside they know that they're going to remember that.
exactly.
Oh, no, of course. No, I get why the lawyers do it, but if you're on the jury and they tell you basically you're not allowed to use the fact that you just heard that she's been on drugs, or that, he may have raped her, or he may have when they poke holes in things, and you just have to go, you can't use that in your decision making. Do you think that they ever actually don't let that affect them? We're human beings. How does that
Exactly.
not affect you?
So I
it
think
affects.
it's as long as you don't voice it to the other ones, to the other jurors, like
That's the
you're
only
good.
way. I
Yeah.
want to ask our viewers, you guys, let us know
Yes.
have you been on a jury? Has this ever happened to you, or what do you think? Do you think that when a jury goes in to make their final decision, that anything that was supposed to be stricken from the record actually is
It's
taken
stricken.
out of the decision making? Yeah, let us know.
Yes.
Well, I think the important part of that whole, which kind of had me torn, and actually I thought that was the one part of the trial that was necessary to show credibility for the witness that they were going across, which was the flight attendant. And it's the fact that, here she is, she's going against, the wife in this case. She's going against Mrs. Riggs instead of Mr. Lampett, and showing that there's a possibility that I think that when Alicia approached the flight attendant and saying like, "Hey, did you have a drug problem?" Because oh God, I always forget her name, the little cute blonde bob.
Robin.
So Robin, when she finally finds that the guy who this
drug
whole
dealer.
trial is about, this couple interacts with this drug dealer, and he's wearing this shirt, and she sees it on the video while they're in the trial, does her research, come to find out that the flight attendant has partied at this man's
Right.
location. There's a possibility that there's a third party a part of this whole situation, and it could be completely a setup. And so I think when it came down to that cross-examination with the flight attendant and her asking those questions like, were you in rehab? Did you have a drug problem? They were all really valid. And I was very disappointed that they didn't get across at that point. This is why we're asking you this.
Right.
Yeah, that
You
it had
could
to
be
be
in connection with this
Right.
person, and this could be yours. And then that's when, actually, she did say that. She said, "Could you have planted that suitcase? Because you're not allowed to bring you're not allowed to. You don't have to go through security. You can go straight in. No one checks your bag. She could have totally had a bag that was identical. I mean, how many people when you travel have black suitcases?
True.
Everyone and their
I
mother
do.
does.
I know, right?
Black
all the-
Samsonite.
Yeah, exactly.
On the wheels.
80% on the flight is black Samsonite,
Yes,
Samsonite.
right.
And then beyond that, you have maybe like one red, one purple, one gray, and then some random with a Louis.
Leopard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, here there's a lot more than just one random
I know,
Louis on the belt, but yeah.
You know, and so with that being said, I think that was a very valid part of the trial. And for Alicia to have that said, I think that it worked in both of the clients' favors for
Yeah.
both Will and Diane.
It got the girl off. I think that line of questioning is what got the girl off completely, because they're
Correct.
saying it wasn't her bag, and if some girl used him, it wasn't Briggs, it was this flight attendant.
Yeah,
That's true.
it just broke my heart tonight
Yes.
when they asked him to take the deal. Like, here
Yeah,
he
Alicia,
is.
what would you do in this situation?
I actually thought she was going to tell him to fight. Because you know how sometimes Alicia get that look like she thought of something.
Yeah.
I actually thought she was going to
Thought
go
of
back
something?
to yes. I actually thought that she was going to go back to the whole flight attendant thing.
I think that because of, which we'll talk about coming up,
Yeah.
she's distracted. And so her judgment isn't quite
little bit
there,
off.
possibly.
Yes.
But the fact that here he is, this nerdy calculus professor, I don't see him selling cocaine. I don't see him, I mean, who knows? Maybe he is
So-
slinging drugs at the freaking
Those are
college.
the main,
So
those are
you
the main ones.
think he should have fought?
I mean,
Yes.
maybe he's Breaking Bad. Who knows? But I don't know. I mean, it's one of those 50-50 things. So he could have fought, but he did take the deal, and it was heartbreaking because at the very point where you see that he's taken into custody, you could see that there was a genuine parting between him and this woman.
Yeah.
And
I want to go back to the writers for a second, because as an actress, I
Yes.
love when you have good writing,
Yes, me too.
and me personally, I think good writing gets you really invested in the characters, and you love them and you hate them, and even the ones you hate, you see why they have to be in the show, because they, like Marilyn, I've hated her up
Yes.
until this episode. I still don't like her, but this man, he's in one episode of this entire show, and look how invested. And it's like you want him to win, and like at the end, I kind of got chills a little bit,
Yeah.
because you're just like, it just doesn't seem fair, and we don't know if he's innocent or not, because he did take the deal,
Yeah.
which almost makes you think, well, maybe he isn't.
to add to that, it's interesting because as we're watching this, we're taking our notes and we're saying, God, there's so much going on. What do we focus on? And it's not really about the trial, but that was the one point of that whole trial where you were just sucked in, and he
Yes.
did become the main focus. And it is due to the writing.
Yeah, I mean, and to top off good writing, you have to have good acting.
acting.
And they have really good co-stars and guest stars. I mean, the girl that played the flight attendant, I wish I knew her name. I should have looked it up. and
Love
wrote it down.
her.
Yeah.
She's a very busy working actress. This isn't just some nobody like me going on and getting my first network credit.
Yes,
This
you're
is
right.
somebody that's had reoccurring roles and is, a very up and coming.
Yeah.
And she's the one that's getting on the show for this, few lines and two scenes kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So, well, I want to go on, because there's, to me, almost a fourth trial outside the courtroom between Kalinda and Cary.
Love
Ooh,
him.
What is that growl about?
I'm starting not to like Kalinda. I used to like Kalinda.
No, yeah. Love him, hate their interaction. Their interaction, it's like, don't turn your back.
Yes.
And I think I said at one point, I was like, he needs to lock his phone.
Yes, you did.
Why doesn't he have a a password on his phone? But it was on purpose. Now that we say it was on purpose.
Yes.
So it was a great setup. I love
It
it.
was.
A wonderful setup.
I want to know, though, because Robin was kind of the one that brought it up. So earlier on where she says, I think that this firm is looking at leaving. They're being ignored a little bit.
Yeah.
And so is that company, is that client of Lockhart-Gardner is actually looking at leaving?
Here-
And they found this way, or was the whole thing like a total setup, and that client was never leaving?
Never leaving.
No,
You don't think so?
This is what I think. I think that they probably have been, yes, slightly ignored. And, she picked up on that. And they don't really have anything going on that's substantial, but, we can play on it.
Yes.
And so it's like, well, you know what? If they're ignoring their client, then here's an opportunity if something does come up. We can totally swoop in. Now, with Cary setting up Kalinda at the bar the way that he did, when Will and Kalinda go to the client, to Mr. Paisley, and say, hey, we're here about this person, and solicitation, and it comes to find out it's his granddaughter that's in a wheelchair.
Right. Ugh.
Prior to him, divulging that information, he's like, oh, I'm totally happy with, Lockhart-Gardner. I'm totally happy. I'm totally happy. The minute that they said that to him, now he's not happy, because now you're talking about my granddaughter, who is
You just blew my mind.
First of all, solicitation. Like,
So Robin was like, hey, guess what? They're being ignored. And Cary's like, I'm going to one-up your idea, and we're going to get them as a client because we're going to make them so unhappy.
yeah.
Oh, I love that. These writers, I'll tell you.
So
Oh my
good.
gosh.
So
yes,
good.
And I'm with you guys. Like Kalinda, I love her as far as her work ethic and how good she is at her job.
Yes, she is.
But how interesting is it? Because I don't like her on the other side. Like the second that she betrayed them and she went to get the chum hum information, when she pretended, and this is their
Right.
first encounter since then. There's just a little something about that to me, because I always thought she was kind of one of the good ones.
I did too.
No, I've
You've never thought that?
You know what? I like Kalinda's work ethic. I'm with you on that. But we have to rewind to many, many episodes and seasons prior. Now, can we trust Kalinda? No. Who is she? That's always been a question. As we found out, she wound up actually sleeping with the governor. Is Kalinda her real name? Probably not. The friendship between her and Alicia broke up as a result of her
Right.
relationship of the name change and the cover-up and being with the governor. And then we have the crazy ex-husband who pops back into her life last season. And then, the on and off lesbian with the FBI agent.
Right.
And now her relationship with the private investigator who's investigating her.
Oh yeah.
She is as shady as they come. Love her character. But if I had to deal with her on a day-to-day, I would constantly have eyes on the back of my head.
Yeah. And she knows that she's wrong, because even the way she picked up his phone, it was just like, no, I'm not going to do it.
But but then she totally did it.
Because she's shady.
So this is the part I love. Cary knew she would do it.
Yeah, of course.
He knew she would.
That's the sad part as a friend.
As a friend,
the
he
sad
knew
part.
that she betrayed him before and that she would do it again. I mean, he made this whole plan up, and he knew she would go for it. And then at the end, he still goes out for drinks with her.
That's because he knew. He proved himself. So now he knows how to handle Kalinda.
Yeah, lock your phone.
Yeah, but I don't think you're ever going to out Kalinda.
Don't say anything.
Cary's
think he
not
will now.
shady.
I think Cary
Cary's
now
He's not
will.
shady, but he's a smart lawyer.
Yes.
He's not a smart regular guy. He's a smart
Yes,
lawyer.
I'll give you that. I'll give you
Yes,
that. He
he
is a good
is.
lawyer.
He'll know not to divulge information.
Right.
Don't get too wasted in front of her. We're going out for drinks. Okay, you want to do shots of tequila, you go right ahead.
I still think they're playing with fire.
Oh,
I
yeah.
do too.
I mean, this is only the beginning of whatever is about to happen.
That's what makes this so good.
And I want to ask, because I was trying to remember if I was like making this up as like a wishful thought or maybe like a prediction of, did they ever have a romantic anything or like a tension
Yes.
of romance?
Yes,
okay.
They want to say they had sex.
They had
Okay,
sex.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going crazy, guys. Not
Right.
yet. So,
Because remember,
is that coming back, do you think? Is that where this is
Kalinda
headed?
still likes him. You remember last season when they just started, when they was August, what is it?
Floricagos. I know. I keep wanting to say their first names.
When they were first going to start the firm, and the group that he was started with, they were trying to get a budget for Kalinda to join them. When Robin came along, they were like, we would prefer going with Robin because we didn't sleep with Kalinda. It's because it seems like Cary was trying to fight for Kalinda to be a part of his firm, but everyone else was just like, no, we can't pay her that because we didn't sleep with her. You did. So I was like, oh,
I didn't even remember that part of it to be like, okay, they did.
Yeah.
And she still likes him.
Well, yeah, they've always had a that kind of dynamic where they like each other and they slept together. But once again, another shady situation. She was in a romantic relationship, I want to say, with a woman while she was with him, and he did not like that. I think he found out about it at one point. And so it's just bad. Like you said, playing with fire.
So playing with fire.
I think her boyfriend's going to come back.
Who?
Her
the crazy husband?
Yes.
I hope not. I hope not. I did not like any of that.
Well, she's good at scaring him, though.
She is.
That's true. That's true. And I guess if somebody's got to put her in check,
it's going to be him.
Although this Damien, who wasn't in tonight's episode, I think he might give her a run for her money.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't wait to see where that storyline goes. But
agreed.
But more importantly, because they were in tonight's episode, Peter Florrick and this entire investigation of basically, was it their campaign? Was it Peter's campaign that dirtied the votes?
Pretty much. The sad part is, and I can see why Alicia is now the mad wife, because her son actually saw it being towed in, but not by the gentleman who did it. What was his name?
Jim Moody.
Jim.
So do you think that Peter knew?
No.
At all?
No. I don't think
so you
that
think
he
Jim
knows.
acted alone?
I think he acted alone.
Well, Eli says it best when he gets interviewed by Marilyn. He's like, I said to him to do whatever we need to do, whatever it takes to get the 12th district. And however my team gets creative in doing so, then let that be done. Now, you're talking about politicians in Chicago. They got creative. And
they got caught.
Busted.
I'm still trying to fathom where that came from, though, where the tape came from. Because if what's his name? If Will did not put it out, because Will was the only one that had it. Kalinda showed it to Will last season. Will, it was on a laptop.
Okay.
So, like, who put it out? Like,
I honestly, we now have seen Will's character. And when Marilyn interviews Will and asks him the question about the video, there comes a point where he, says, well, that's attorney-client privilege, and I can't give you that information unless it's waived. Of course, that's when we see Marilyn bring it.
yes.
I shouted to you guys. I honestly thought she was so heated. I thought her water was gonna break. I really did. I thought she was gonna storm into Peter's office, and she wasn't even gonna get to make her case.
She was walking like she was not pregnant. She was like,
I seriously, I'm like, we're not even gonna get to see the end of this.
Right.
We're having a baby.
Wow.
But we didn't. We did not have a baby.
Oh, God.
We had an
Her
investigation.
voice freaks me out.
She's got like that whole sexy pouty thing, and no wonder everyone thinks that Peter's gonna do her.
Or may
that's
have.
his baby.
It's not. It's the other Peter, the director.
You think
Peters.
so? You really think so?
Because in the last episode, they showed that it was Peter, the director.
Right, but do you really think
do
so?
You really think so?
Oh, I hope so for his sake. I'm actually for him.
Because it wasn't even addressed, I feel like they kind of just like threw it out there. So maybe it really is, and maybe that goes away. But
That's what Michelle said last week.
Yeah.
Your call in from last week. She said the same thing. She was like, well, I think that it could. No, she was like, it could be.
it really could be
Peter's
this guy.
Florrick's
Peter Florrick.
Yes.
Seeing Marilyn's character in this episode, her job is ethics.
I had to start liking her a little bit.
Her job
Tonight.
is ethics, and it would be unethical for her to ruin the job that she loves so much by sleeping with the governor. So
I
as
agree.
much as who knows, we'll see.
Right.
I'm going to say no on this one. Although naming him Peter is not exactly the brightest idea.
Or seemingly the most ethical.
No, exactly. So she's still on the.
But she's going to have that baby forever. I mean, you're not going to necessarily have this job forever, especially when this whole scandal's going down and you may not have a job next week.
Yes.
But, I had to start liking her because for the first time, I really was like, you know what? Her heart and her determination is really to just find out the truth and nothing but the truth, and to find out the whole truth, that whole thing. And I really think that that's what she was after. And it's funny because she's almost lawyer-like in this whole investigation, because she's like, look, I can't be blindsided because we look bad otherwise.
She is an attorney. She went to law school, and when they first introduced the character, and they were questioning if she should be his ethical person, she's like, the whole time that I was in law school, all I did was study Nexus Lexus. And
she's really cool.
So
guys.
she's very, she's very, so she's very firm, and she knows what she's doing when it comes to the investigating part of it before it gets blown out of proportion. She's doing her job, which is nice to see. And the thing that's crazy is when they bring Will into his office, and he and Peter asked specifically to have a private moment with Will.
His second private moment of the investigation.
Yes.
Mind you.
Which is quite, she's like, what's going on here?
I don't think that Marilyn is trying to find the truth to Ashley. I think she's trying to find the truth for herself.
Well, yeah,
her own, just for herself.
She has to find out the truth to know what to do.
Yeah, well, that too. Even if she finds the truth, I don't think she's going to put it out there.
You don't?
I think she's going to hold that for Peter.
As an ethics person, you don't think if she found out Peter knew or somebody in his campaign knew and cheated that she wouldn't out them?
With her character, I don't know, because
I don't think so.
I totally think she would.
No.
Some of the things she's done leading up to this, she's very questionable.
Yes.
She's like the Kalinda's version of Peter's office.
Yes.
Just not so backstabby.
Yeah.
But speaking of backstabbing, Will and Peter have this private moment.
Yeah.
And now
another private moment.
This is where Will divulges the information as far as, okay, so what did I say? Peter's like, what did I say? What did you tell me during this time when we were fighting for these votes? When you showed me and I refused to see that video. And Will could have been honest about it. Will could have been lying. I almost want to go back up prior to that prior season when that interaction happened to see if it actually happened. It's like, now I'm like the lawyer.
Yeah, you gotta go figure it out.
Reviewing the videotape. And it's like, because he lied to the judge inside of the chambers. Is this now the second time that he's lied?
I absolutely think so.
The writers are amazing. I hate to keep going back to that.
No, don't.
But
They probably
very
love
true,
it.
Because now I recently saw that episode, and Will did not say that verbatim is 30,000 votes that
or compromise.
Exactly.
He
did
didn't.
not say that.
Oh,
He
I didn't think
said,
so. No.
This video shows that you may have, fraud the election. That's it. He didn't say about the 30, because what's his name?
Well, and I don't.
What's his name?
Eli?
No.
Jim Moody?
No. Oh, wow. Peter, yes.
Oh, the governor? I'm like, there's nobody left.
The guy he's talking to.
Because Peter was like, I know, right? I just went brain fart there.
That's all right.
Because Peter was just like, well, don't show me. And then Will was just like, well, punch me. Because, he punched the other guy. My names are going today.
Oh, good.
Never mind.
But you just clarified exactly what I was curious about.
I 100%, and that kind of confirms it. Will was just basically throwing it in Peter's face that, look, but I think it's selfish. I think Will's like, look, Diane was out. It was going to be my firm. You gave her back to me by taking away her judgeship.
Right.
So guess what? Attorney-client privilege means I can say this, or this. What's it gonna be? And
he's bitter.
Absolutely, he's bitter.
He's out for blood.
He's bitter.
He lost the woman he loves. He regained the partner he was ready to kick to the curb because he was about to lose her to the guy who loves.
He lost both women to the same man.
Yeah.
He was going to.
And now he holds Peter's career in his hands.
And so he's loving it.
And Marilyn is not even having it.
Oh.
She cannot do her job.
No, she can't.
That's her baby dad.
But that is why. That is why I think that if she found out the truth and she found out, well, when she finds out or if she finds out the truth, I think any person that she knows is involved in the fraudulent votes, assuming that's really what it was, they're all out. I think she's absolutely turning them all in. Absolutely turning them all in. And I think that's part of it.
There's something on the inside of me is telling me that she's not gonna do it. I just feel like she's holding that.
No, you know what? I think you're right.
Unless Peter Florrick is the father of her baby, I think she's outing the campaign.
Okay, that's probably why I said that, because I feel like Peter is the father.
You do?
Yeah, I think she's I hate to say this, but I think she's a slut. I think
he better not be.
Alicia would have yet another heart attack, as she did tonight.
Yes.
Oh, and I want to talk about that for a second, because when she was talking about Zach and him having to get on the stand in front of the feds, I got chills.
I did too.
I'm not a mother. I've never been a mother. And but for a second I felt, I completely empathize with her, and I feel like her performance kind of gave me a little moment of kind of compassion and sort of being able to understand the mother side of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that mama bear, that protective mama bear came out.
Correct.
And we haven't seen that, you know, from her in a while, because just with everything else going on, that hasn't...
She's busy.
Demanded, yeah. The storyline just hasn't demanded that of her.
I've really never seen her have that mother figure of protection on anyone else but her mother. I've never seen it like towards Peter or anyone else.
You've never seen her be a mama bear towards anybody?
Like, I've only seen her get upset about her kids to her mother. I've never seen
her mother?
Yes.
When her mom was trying to get her daughter all changed up and the dresses and...
Yeah, she was like, "You would never see my kids again."
Yeah, well, she hasn't had to.
Yeah.
I mean, going
Peter's
up against
mother.
the feds.
No, her mother.
No, when she had that whole interaction with Peter's mother, that's...
Oh, that too. Oh, yes.
She's Mama Bear.
She's totally a mama bear. I mean, I feel like any mom that's raising their kids is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a mother yet, but I someday hopefully will be, and I can't imagine not being that mama bear and just wanting to do whatever to protect them. I mean, and for her to the nth degree, because she is a lawyer and she really knows all of the consequences of what could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, and as a family, 5 seasons, they've been through a lot.
They have been.
You know, from episode 1.
Yeah, they really, truly have been. And the fact that the consequences for Zach being being investigated by the feds is going to be a lot more intense than regular lawyers or regular trial. And that could take a toll on him. That can take a toll on the family. If they find any doubt, that could also fall back on him.
And hurt the family. And hurt the whole family.
Well, even more beyond that, like, could he even wind up getting in trouble? Did you really see that? Were you a part of it? They can confuse you.
Yeah, and you say one word the wrong way, that leaves it open to interpretation.
Yeah.
You know, and they twist your words.
Well, you know, when he first observed the whole box tape being broken and whatever, Zach, he came from defending, saying that the other party was fraudulent, to going back now defending that, okay, the votes are valid. You remember?
Yeah, well, I think that's why Alicia is being so protective.
Yeah.
Like, he can't get on the stand because he's already flip-flopped.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
It's like, what did you really see? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the old lady that she started crying. She was like, "I want to go home." Yeah. Y'all remember that? Because y'all looked at me like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, but really, how many times have we seen in these cases where they kind of do that? They're like, but it was late. Did you really see?
Right.
You know, and in those moments where things are happening so fast or there's a lot of pressure, it's really hard to remember.
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember what I ate for dinner yesterday.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to remember, you know, what happened 3 months ago? Or in this case, you know, well, I guess in this case it's a month ago, because Peter's been governor now for a month, they say. Mm-hmm. Shortest reigning governor.
Well, no, there's got to be some time before you actually take.
Yeah, because he had a week off. I remember him saying he would.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. From when the election.
The votes.
But he's been governor now
for like a month.
For a month, yeah.
I don't know. It's all so crazy. And the predictions, I'm sure, are just going to be...
Well, let's get a little closer to those predictions. Let's talk about news and gossip for a second.
Yes.
AfterBuzz TV News.
As you guys know, the Golden Globes were tonight, and our lovely Alicia Florrick, Miss Juliana Margulies, was up for nomination, as was The Good Wife as a show. And they both lost.
Flaw.
Neither, they didn't take home either this year, which, you know what? Whatever. I guess.
Cary Washington.
Right? Yeah. But I mean, but then tonight I'm like watching her performance and I'm like, come on.
Yes.
Hello, I got chills. So, yeah. Well, we'll just have to look, for next year, I guess, and another season, and and hope more of them are up for stuff. I mean, Breaking Bad kind of cleaned up tonight.
Yes.
And they're a great show, and so it's kind of hard to argue with that. Except I love The Good Wife, and I've never seen an episode of Breaking Bad, so
I have not either.
I'm a little biased.
I was kind of scared to say that. Sorry. Don't
What?
lose any of my Twitter followers just because I said that.
I say
I've never
Sid,
seen
You
it.
have never seen Breaking Bad either?
No.
Netflix. Oh my God. Like my mom right now is addicted. She's like, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you right now.
Oh,
I
wow.
need to watch another episode.
It's on my to-do list,
It's
but
so-
ahead of it on my to-do list is to watch The Good Wife.
And what about after The Good Wife? Shouldn't it be Scandal?
I've never seen
Haven't
Scandal. I don't
either.
care about
They have
Scandal.
not seen Scandal.
No, so you were saying, I mean, since we're on the topic of news and gossip, this is totally gossip-worthy to me. You are making sort of a comparison or a correlation between The Good Wife and Scandal. I want you to explain that for a second,
Well,
because I
kinda-
want to know what the viewers think.
Yes.
If this is something that's a real thing, or if this is a you thing.
I hope it's a real thing. I don't feel like I'm the only one. I think that when I watch Scandal and I look at how the different ways that they throw things at you, it's very shocking sometimes how The Good Wife and the writers of Good Wife throw things at you, because you kind of predict things as like, maybe it can go this way or maybe it can go this way, and that's if you watch Scandal, it's the same way. You're like, well, maybe Cary's gonna do this and maybe so-and-so's gonna do this. I don't know, and it makes you want to watch the next episode.
And are you as invested in the characters?
I am.
You are.
Very much so. Like, I love
You love them
Alicia.
and you hate them.
I love Alicia. I can actually, if you go down and give me all the characters, I'm like, don't like, maybe, whatever. Like, I can tell you, because I remember you saying that, like, you get involved with the character.
Yeah, and you have the ones you fight for.
Exactly.
And sometimes that changes, Will Gardner. But for the most part, I think the people that I have stood behind and loved from episode 1 are basically, probably with the exception of Will, the same people. I love the same ones, I hate the same ones.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the writing.
Yeah.
I think they're doing that to me on purpose.
Oh.
They're telling me who to like. And I like them. It's
know, right?
working. All right, well, let's move on to predictions.
Yeah.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It always makes me feel like Halloween when I hear that music.
What? I was just
don't know.
thinking that.
Were you?
I was thinking about my Halloween costume.
What were you for Halloween? Oh, okay. It's going to be like that. Is
That's
that
a-
a prediction?
That's an after show after.
after show prediction.
Oh, got it. I gotta write this down so I remember to ask. No. All right. So predictions, because we had a lot go on. Do you think we'll see more of the Will Alicia fight, or do you think that that's gonna go away?
No.
No, it's not gonna go away.
That is not going to go away. I think that the fight between the two of them is going to get even more intense. I think that I really think that Will is behind this whole ballad fraud. I think he's behind the whole thing. I think
It was in his possession.
I think he's behind the fraud, and I think that with everything that's going on between him and Alicia, I think he feels like if I bring down Peter, then I win. But
Because she'll have no other option? Or it's
No,
not about her
it's-
coming
it's-
back?
I'm just on top, and like I hurt
Okay.
you and I hurt him and kind of like screw you all. But I don't think he realizes, and this is my prediction, that it's going to hurt him the most. Because now
yeah.
that this whole attorney private, when he gets found to be lying, his character has already been on the line several times, and now he's proving that. It's bound to come out. So he's going to slip. Somehow it's going to come out. Somehow it's going to be leaked. And he thinks that he's doing the thing for him. I think he's doing himself a very, very big no-no by trying to be the big dog in this situation, and it's going to wind up hurting him. And my prediction is that when Marilyn finds out about it, she's going to be out for blood.
Yes.
And Will Gardner, look out.
Absolutely. Along those lines, you just made me think of like, I don't know, the next like season and a half. Maybe I should write for The Good Wife. No, because this is what you made me think. You made me think, okay, so Will didn't plan this knowing that Alicia was leaving to create her own firm, but he did know he lost her to Peter. So, and then the judgeship thing. So Peter wants Diane out. So if this whole thing goes down, and he'll be hurt the worst because it'll be on him. So the governor, Peter, will keep his position. Diane will see what happens. So Peter will give Diane the judgeship. Will's going to lose his entire credibility and probably his ability to practice law. So then Lockhart-Gardner, because Diane will leave and go be the judge, will become like Flork Agos will like incept it, and it'll become basically Lockhart-Gardner, but now called Flork Agos.
I think that
Will's potentially setting him up for something like that to happen.
it's definitely that, but just to tweak it a little, I think that Diane won't be judged. There's too much there.
Be a judge?
Yeah, I don't think she'll get the judgeship. There's too much, that bridge has been burned.
You think
at
so?
this point?
I believe so.
But if Will gets in trouble for this, he will lose his credibility.
Again.
He could possibly go to jail and or prison as a result of this. Diane gets that whole firm for herself.
He's already been suspended.
I know. That's what I mean. I don't think he's setting himself up to potentially not be able to practice
yeah.
law. Period.
All because of Alicia. The love for Alicia.
What sex
Well, because-
does
Well, because
What good sex does.
wasn't that great because she went back to her husband.
I have a question though. Do you remember when Alicia last season, when Alicia and Will were in the car, in Will's car, and they was doing that case that was like early in the morning before the election, and they kissed, and then Diane came and knocked on the car.
Yes.
Okay.
Vaguely.
Right.
I mean.
So does she know about them? I don't recall. Did she even see them?
Did
kiss?
Diane know about
Yeah.
them?
I think so.
I think Diane knows about them.
Peter knows. I think a little office romance among probably most of the partners. I mean,
It was very obvious their interaction over the last seasons because their offices were across from each other. You can always tell someone's body language, the tension in the room, the eye, the flirtation.
if they didn't know for sure, there was high
They know now.
I always wondered.
Suspicions.
I never caught that.
She has to know by
for
now
sure.
with how everything is going down. You have to figure Peter took away Diane's judgeship because of the whole Will firing Alicia thing, and why would it's just one big giant spider web.
right? Well, what do you guys think about this whole election fraud in these votes? Do you think Peter's going to lose the governorship?
No.
No.
No, I think because Marilyn is great at what she does, if Peter were to invest trust in her, if he were to truly, truly trust her, I think that she could find out the truth behind Will and is he lying or not about this.
And expose that.
Yes. And save him, like, okay, I refuse to see this video because what does it have to do with anything? Like, there's a way, where there's a will, there's a way to get Will to be the fall guy in this situation.
So Peter has to basically let Will lie about what he said to Peter when he had the tape. So that goes on record so that Marilyn can basically say, that's not what happened. Because now that we found out where the tape really came from, there's no way you would have known to say that, so you didn't say it, so Peter's in the clear.
And I think...
Even if his campaign cheated.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is her, where did the tape come from? If they can find out where the tape came from and it leads back to Will, then it would totally show that Will is doing this intentionally to hurt the governor, and that would, if Peter were to figure and find that out, then he could wave. It's like, well, you know what? Can we trust what he's saying to be true when he's the one that leaked it in the first place? So I don't think he would lose. I think there's a chance he could still keep it.
So you think Will had a part, he worked with Jim somehow for this to happen, or he just knew Jim was doing it and then set up the video?
I think he just got a hold of the video and leaked it, and
But
now it's
Kalinda
out.
found it. Kalinda found the video
Right.
because it was from the security camera from across the street, the White House across the street.
Right.
And brought it to Will.
So do you think Jim acted alone?
I think Jim acted alone.
I kind of think so too.
Now that I think about it, I remember the conversation that he and Eli had.
Yeah, and Eli was pretty, I mean, Eli was completely honest from
Yeah.
everything that it looked like to
Yeah.
me.
Well, no, here's the thing, because Eli asked it. Well, Jim asked, what Eli told to Jim, he said, we're losing the 12th district.
Yeah.
And Jim says, well, he was like, well, I'll take care of it. And he goes to walk off. And Eli says, should I know what you're about to do? He says, I'm going to get the at that time, I think it was 12,000 votes or something. I'm going to get the 12,000 votes back. And then he was like, Eli looked away, and then he walked off.
So do you think Eli really knows? Because when Jim and Eli met, they sat and they talked about it, and Jim was like,
Right.
I could write a book on all the stuff you don't know that we get creative with, right?
Right. I don't think Eli wanted to know, but I think he had an idea because when Jim walked away, he gave a look like, is he?
He thought of something, yeah. Well, and we'll have to see how that all plays out. I actually think just from these last few things, honestly, we may have more of an unraveling because we'll have the, I feel like I can't think right now. We will have all of these other things that Jim and the other people have gone creative with.
Right.
Yeah,
You know
the
what I mean?
details will start to come out.
Yes,
Slowly but surely, the truth will start to trickle out because I
Right.
mean, we have the best investigators on
Right.
it.
Yes,
That's
yes,
true.
we do. Well, I guess that is a wrap. We will
Yes.
see you guys next time. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Cohen, at Couhen. Where can we find you?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Cortez G West.
You can find me on Twitter at Miriam L. Gonzalez.
Have a good night, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.